So that night, Greta is having a dinner party with these model executives. It's a typical setup with Greta's mom acting like a complete bitch while Greta is still trying to get over Dan's death.
Greta, you're being offered the opportunity of a lifetime. I think you should show a little gratitude.
One of my friends died yesterday, Mother. Do you mind if I take a few hours off to remember him?
But we're having a party, dear.
I read about him. Drunk or something, wasn't he?
Oh, he was just a friend of Greta's. Not someone special. Not someone she was seeing.
Wow, a bunch of rich, pompous assholes who only care about making themselves money rather than care about the deaths of innocent people. That seems to happen a lot, doesn't it?
Thumbs up this video for epic earthquake.
Aren't you eating?
I really don't feel up to it.
Really, dear? You ought to try something.
You're the one who's always slapping my hand about my weight, Mother.
But that's why we diet, dear. So we can eat at social events and not upset the other guests.
Tell you what, why don't I just eat the whole goddamn tray, go throw up and come back for seconds, all right?
Madam, if I may. Bon appetit, bitch.
So Freddy starts force-feeding Greta the insides of one of her dolls, which eventually makes her cheeks grow really big. For all you inflation fans out there, there's your fuel right there.
Talk with your mouth full, dear.
You are what you eat.
Wow, that line certainly made more sense than it did in the edited version. But it seems that Greta won't swallow her food, so Freddy starts choking her. The next thing you know, her head is sticking out of the front of Alice's refrigerator, and before Alice can do anything, Greta is caught by Freddy and eventually chokes to death. The next night, Alice and Yvonne head over to a warehouse where Mark hangs out. Needless to say, Mark is pretty upset, and he shows his emotions by doing his best Crispin Glover impression.
Why don't you shut up and let her talk? I mean, 2 of us have died in the past 2 days. Does that strike you as particularly normal? Mark! I'm not finished. I love Greta. A lot. And if maybe, just maybe, someone or something killed her, I'd like to hear about it.
I'm not gonna listen to this anymore.
Then get out!
So as Mark continues to whine, Alice decides to spend some time with him inside the warehouse. Mark then shows Alice his drawings of his favorite superhero called the Phantom Prowler. Basically, it's like the Phantom's less gay and more badass twin brother. Hollywood should keep that in mind if they ever try to make a Phantom reboot. One that isn't gay, dull, or has anything other to do with Billy Zane. Hey, if it worked for Captain America, Phantom should be like Red Brown. Somewhat gay, and yet somewhat really awesome. Later that night, Mark ends up falling asleep, and is now making his way into the Nightmare House. I guess the filmmakers realized the movie had nothing to do with Elm Street and decided, fuck it, let's throw the house into at least one scene to make it legit. Alice manages to save Mark from getting sucked into a hole in the floor, and he eventually wakes up after his hemophobia gets the best of him.
Oh, shit.
Suddenly, Alice sees Jacob, the little boy from the hospital who is now occupying her dreams.
Is this where you live, Jacob?
Just waiting for someone.
I don't think this is a very nice place for you to be. Maybe we should go look for your mom.
She doesn't want me around.
Oh, I'm sure that's not true. I'll bet she's very worried about you. I would be.
No, you're not. You don't even care about being a mom. How come you don't think about me?
Who said I what?
I like you. I want to stay with you. How come you don't like me?
Wow, the Phantom Prowler, Jake Lloyd style acting? This movie really was 10 years ahead of its time. It's then that Alice realizes that Jacob is her unborn son, and Freddy has actually taken possession of him so that whenever he kills a villain, the baby gets its soul. And this makes Freddy stronger. But in order for Freddy to be able to get into these kids' dreams, both the baby and the victim have to be asleep. Sort of like how it worked with Alice in The Dream Master. But that brings up another very important question.
Do unborn babies dream?
According to this movie's logic, unborn fetuses spend 70% of the time in a dream state, and it increases as it matures. Now, if that's the case, then wouldn't that mean Alice would be dreaming almost all the time? And I'm not a maternity expert, but I must ask, How can a fetus be able to develop dream sensors after only being made less than a week ago? Doesn't it take a while for their brains to fully develop? Speaking of develop, interesting that the baby is now only a few days old, and yet it looks like it's almost fully grown. Sounds like somebody flunked out of medical school. So Alice and Mark look up articles talking about Freddy Krueger, and then Alice finds an article on his mother, Amanda. Apparently after her son was arrested, Amanda went crazy and supposedly hung herself, but her body was never found. Alice then decides to go into her dreams to see if she can find Amanda, but at the same time, Yvonne is at the swimming pool. After a bit of relaxation in the hot tub, she decides to go diving, only for the diving board to turn into the bridge from Evil Dead and start attacking her! Yvonne quickly jumps into the pool, only to end up falling right into Freddy's lair. So now it's Alice to the rescue!
Where are you going, Piglet? Just start.
No shit it is. We're already over an hour into this thing, and so far Freddy has only killed 2 people. Come on, Freddy! You should be slaughtering assholes left and right by now!
I know exactly what you're up to.
I thought I was up to,
So Alice and Yvonne escape from Freddy, who is scared off by Amanda. So now Freddy sets his attention to Mark, who apparently fell asleep reading all his comic books. After getting sucked into one of the comics, he ends up in this black and white and twisted comic world that resembles the warehouse. When Freddy appears riding a skateboard, Mark finds himself cornered. But then Freddy disappears, and reappears again on top of the rubble, with a doll version of Greta which he promptly destroys, much to the anger of Mark. That's when Mark unleashes his hidden dream power.
Time to die, you scar-faced limp dick!
Who talks like that? But of course, not even bullets are gonna stop Freddy as he transforms into Big Daddy V.
Faster than a bastard maniac! More powerful than a local madman! Yes! Super Freddy!
And thus, Mark becomes even more two-dimensional than before, and is slashed into 1,000 pieces by Freddy, killing him. Oh, and by the way, this is Freddy's 3rd and final kill of the film. That is just pathetic! Throughout most of the franchise, Freddy has killed at least 6 or 7 people a movie. And now, in the 5th installment, there are only 3 kills? Well, I guess they really didn't have any other choice since there are only 5 main characters in this movie, and 2 of which they needed for the final climax. But you know what? Come on. You'd think that by 1989 they'd have upped the ante a bit. Especially since Freddy has barely done anything in this movie except for a few corny kills here and there. Alice is still busy trying to find Amanda and running into Jacob every now and then. And I'm sitting here completely bored out of my skull wondering if anything is going to happen.